All right, I have a few things to say. What happened today was a sin, an atrocity, a crime against not only Donald Trump, but all of us, all Americans, and it was a devastating moment. I was hoping for an acquittal. I guess I was hoping for a miracle. I thought maybe that could happen. It didn't happen, and this is terrible. But in these horrific moments, awesome things can happen. Because Donald Trump now joins the ranks of heroes who have been falsely convicted by jealous and corrupt enemies. And if you want more information, let's check the Bible. All right? I'm telling you, just go through those pages, and there are thousands, tens of thousands of figures in human history who have been falsely imprisoned. We're not there yet, but I just sense that something amazing can happen. And just remember, we've been here before. We have. That mugshot, remember when he was arrested? I mean, that was another moment like, oh my God, what has happened? And it turned out to be something, well, magnificent. That mugshot went super viral, started a fundraising campaign on the website like they've never seen maybe until today. And we didn't even really think about it all that much 5 days later. What about when he first was arrested in Manhattan Criminal Court? To see Donald Trump there, I mean, that was like, wow, like a regular defendant, but he's not a regular defendant. And we got over that one as well. We've been through this stuff before. Miami, the silly case with the classified documents that he had every right to have. Yeah, it happened. And we got over it, and he got over it. And Mar-a-Lago, man, oh man, oh man. When the FBI went in there, I just thought the world would never be the same. And in some ways, actually, look, we're still dealing with these things, but we move on. And Donald Trump moved on. This was all meant to prevent him, these arrests last year, from getting the nomination. And he got the nomination, right? Just a few months later, he won Iowa resoundingly. He won New Hampshire resoundingly. He won South Carolina. And I think earlier than any nominee in history secured a major party's presidential nomination, victorious in the face of incredible adversity. So, great things are going to happen, I do believe, but we have to help each and every one of us, and a lot of people already are. What can we do? What can we do? Here are a couple of suggestions. Number one, we can give money. And I'm hearing reports that people are giving money to the Trump campaign like never before. We cannot shy away from the evil that is social media. There's a lot of junk on there, but we can go there and speak the truth. We can, maybe for the first time in our lives, write letters to member of Congress, write letters to the newspaper, to these crazy website, maybe even District Attorney Alvin Bragg himself, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, just letting them know how we feel, and vote. Vote like we've never voted before. And yes, study the U.S. Constitution. Does everybody know what the 7th Amendment means, right? I mean, come on, we have to know this stuff by heart because with the internet, who knows? They may start deleting our rights. And there's probably a million other things that we can do, right? Volunteer, whatever. We can use our imagination and make sure our country remains our country. A country for everybody, a constitution that is intact. So today, it was depressing at times, but I'm actually feeling quite optimistic. And I'm feeling, man, like a Super Bowl champion after watching this new spot from the Trump team. Take a look.
Thank you for joining us here today. Earlier this afternoon, Donald Trump was arraigned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts.
This case is an abomination. You know, it's obviously political. 7 years to try to come up with this case. They're just wrong on the law.
The only crime that Donald Trump is being prosecuted for is the crime of running for president.
Political persecution at the highest level.
They've quite frankly given up on trying to beat him at the polls. Either going to steal it or stop it by law firm.
A Democrat prosecutor elected on a Get Trump platform.
What's going on here is a disgusting disgrace. It is war on Trump, it is war on the Republican Party, and it is a war on the Republic.
Is this awesome or what? There's more.
This case is the weakest case I've seen in 60 years of teaching, practicing, and writing about criminal law.
I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
This judge, I mean, you don't need a prosecutor if you have a judge like this. This judge is not on the level.
It's a terrible case, but the judge has been pretty much a rubber stamp on everything that Bragg has wanted to do.
They're perverting the system of justice. You know, that's where the danger lies, the corruption and subversion of our institutions by the left.
This is the Democrats' entire strategy, to confine President Trump to a dirty criminal courtroom and keep him off the campaign trail where he can bring his winning message to voters across this country.
New York has become a legal banana republic. They are so determined to get Donald Trump.
Look, convicting Donald Trump, that's all they have.
I think they have no cards, and they're depending upon Trump getting convicted.
That Trump train doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The only verdict that matters is the verdict at the ballot box.
I love it, don't you? But, all right, we have to be careful and vigilant, because I think the left already knows that these cases aren't working to their benefit. They indicted them last year, right? And he became the nominee. They convict him this year. Do they really think that's going to stop him, stop us? It's not. But I'm worried that perhaps the conviction will give them justification to do something perhaps unthinkable. And it is their rhetoric that is truly dangerous, truly a threat to democracy.
A clear and present danger. Democrats painting a damning picture of a lawless president.
Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to our country.
Donald Trump, who's likely the GOP nominee, is a clear and present danger.
All right. Now, some of them are just dopey talking heads, right? Nancy Pelosi was in there. The clear and present danger. What does that mean? More in a moment. But what does it mean when it comes from so-called conservatives? Who remembers Judge Ludig? For a time, this guy was pretty well respected in conservative judicial circles. But this is what Trump derangement syndrome can do to you. You see what he looks like here? Well, look at him more recently. That's Judge Ludig. And here he is talking not just about Donald Trump, but all of us who support him. All of us who believe that MAGA, Make America Great Again, is a great thing. Check this out.
Donald Trump and his allies and supporters are a clear and present danger to American democracy.
All right, that clearly was not a slip of the tongue. He chose his words very, very carefully. So Donald Trump and his supporters, his ally, I consider myself a supporter, a friend, an ally. We are a clear and present danger. What does that mean? Technically, that means a danger that justifies limitation of a right, such as freedom of speech or press by the government. The government can do essentially whatever it wants to neutralize that threat. This is where it gets scary. This is where I start to think that the conviction wasn't really to scare off voters, but maybe it was to motivate members of the deep state to do who knows what. Joe Biden's unpresidential message, downright reckless message he posted not too long ago. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain and keep power. A second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms and fomenting political violence, and the American people will reject it this November. You think they're just going to leave that to the American people? If he truly is the threat they say he is, I don't think they're just going to accept our judgment. They might do something else. They might, and it could be something frightening. First, we have to all understand this is coming from the Biden administration. No matter what certain people on TV think, this has all been orchestrated by the Biden administration. All right? Get it straight, Fox News.
This is exactly a Biden show because he's got to distract the American people. Listen,
but the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial?
It's a state trial. It's Alvin Bragg. Whether you think there's a political motive for him, it's not connected to the DOJ. I mean,
Shannon,
the feds passed on these election charges.
Shannon, you should look at how many logs they have of state officials, Letitia James, Fani Willis, visiting the White House, and then tell me that this is not a Biden trial.
Yeah, there's all kinds of evidence. There's no evidence. There's plenty of evidence. Joe Biden's made it public that he wanted President Trump prosecuted. This article in the New York Times, Joe Biden made it clear to aides that he thought Garland wasn't moving fast enough on Joe Biden. The New York Times, that's like basically the email system for the swamp. Garland was put on notice, and shortly after this piece hit, Joe Biden came out with the most peculiar statement on November 9th, 2022. Listen carefully. It may sound benign. It's not. This is dangerous.
We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
All right, what the hell did he really say there? You know, he didn't say we're going to beat him at the ballot box. He said something sinister and weird. Well, we just have to demonstrate, he was mumbling, so let's look at this, that he will not take power by, if he does run, I'm making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again. That doesn't mean I'm going to get more votes. That means we're going to put him in jail. That means we're going to prevent him from being nominated. That means if he should declare for president, as he did just a short time later, remember, he declared very, very early for a presidential run, November 15th, 2022. What happened right after that? Jack Smith was appointed by Merrick Garland. You see how this works? All right, just so everybody knows, this was coming from Joe Biden. And Alvin Bragg, then he steps in the spring of 2023. This is orchestrated by the very, very top. And something else, though, back to the part where this gets really a little bit scary. You know, Joe Biden takes an oath of office, the president does. That's a little different from the oath of office that federal employees take. Officers in the military, senior executive service members, they take an oath that reads a little bit different from the president's. They pledge to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, I've taken that oath myself. I don't want to change it. That's legit. But all enemies, foreign and domestic. The way Joe Biden and Republicans, certain rhinos out there, talk about President Trump, they're going to designate him, I fear, a domestic enemy, and that will entitle them to do who knows what. I showed you the judge. Here's Joe.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
You see the problem? I think having no border, the policy, that threatens the very foundation of our republic. He says that we do. Me, MAGA. No, I don't. You do, and the way you talk. And that rhetoric is dangerous, and I think he's firing up the deep state. Hey, they took out Kennedy. We have to pray for President Trump, not only for his victory, but for his safety.